Hey guys, this is Pharaoh 2091, and welcome back to Let's Play Ace Attorney Investigations Miles Edgeworth. Last time we left off, we came back into Defendant Lobby number 2 to begin, to try investigating it once again, but also to speak with Detective Bad, because, like, first off, it's like, did he know about that piece of evidence, about the eyeglass's key actually being the knife? And then the whole issue about, like, you know, the video's gone, and, like, how he even heard the gunshot or anything like that when these rooms are soundproof. So we came to the conclusion that freaking tape must still be in this room, and we're gonna go investigate the television right now. So that's where the investigation began, so let's go ahead and do it. So first off, where do videotapes go? They go into VCRs. I can't believe this. I don't understand. If this game, at this moment, is taking place like around, what is it? Is it 2014 this time around, or is it a little bit earlier because this is like 6 years in the past or whatever? Still, it's fairly modern times, and I rarely see anybody use VCRs. But yes, I mean, if you probably go in a household, they're probably still there, but I don't think anybody really uses it instead of feeling like nostalgic, maybe, but I digress. So let's go ahead and check in the VCR. It's a video player, and there seems to be a videotape inside. It looks like it. The tape must have stopped on its own when it reached the end. This tape. Could it not be the missing surveillance videotape? I suppose, but Detective Bad, would it be alright with you if I verify the contents of this video? Sure. Knock yourself out. Alright, then let's rewind this and see what we have. Oh man, that sound too of things rewinding. It took forever. If I remember correctly, the footage of Rel killing the MC staff member should be at about the 30-minute mark from the start of the tape. Understood. It should be right about... This should be about right. Now then, let's see. No, this is the footage of Mr. Rel shooting the MC staff member. I knew it. A missing piece of evidence. The surveillance video was here all along. Okay. The sound. What's the meaning of this? It appears that Detective Bad has figured out the true source of the gunshot he heard. With this, I think we can figure out the trick behind this double murder. Do you mean that you figured it all out then? Yes. All I have to do now is show what the gunshot detectives Bad and Gumshoe heard was, and through where they heard it from. No, what did I say there? Fine. In that case, show me what you deduced. Now, to show what the gunshot detectives Bad and Gumshoe heard was, and through where they heard it from. That sounds like a weird statement. I'm probably not saying it properly. Whatever. So, well, the window's open. We figured this out because, you know, the window's open. That's why they can smell everything. And the window's open, and you can hear stuff that come from another room. If the windows are open, makes sense, right? So let's deduce it. There we go. And now we can actually show the videotape, because if the window was open and the tape was playing, then maybe they heard that gunshot, and that was the gunshot they heard. If the door and windows to the crime scene, namely this room that we're in, were closed, the killer could have used the gun and no one would have been the wiser. That's true. This courthouse does seem to have a well-designed for such a thing, as it were. However, what happened in reality was Detective Gumshoe, Detective Bad, and Miss Yu, all three of them heard a gunshot. Well, the windows in lobbies number 1, 2, and the hallway were open, so naturally the people in those locations could hear it. But then, why would the criminal open the window in the first place? Too loud a gunshot to be heard, I suppose. Correct. The It's the only logical conclusion we can draw from this. But why was that necessary in the first place? I want a real answer, Miles. I demand satisfaction. Very well. I believe the killer wanted to manipulate our perception of a certain fact. What was it the killer wanted to manipulate our perception of? And I believe it was simply when the time actually took place, because we've been hearing conflicting times of when a person heard a gunshot. Like, it was 20 minutes before, the trial reconvened. It was right before the trial reconvened. So I believe it was when the time actually took place, the crime. The killer wanted to fabricate the time of death to their precise wishes, and they used the gunshot in the surveillance video to do so. So that's why the tape was left running. You mean the gunshot I heard was from this video? Yes, which means that the murders really occurred at an earlier time than we thought. It must have been during a recess, but before Detective Gumshoe was on guard duty, someone who has no alibi for that time period and planned this crime out in advance. That person is the real killer. Alright, we got that one done. Mr. Edgeworth! Yes, what is it? Miss Yu is asking for you. She's in the courtroom. She says that she's identified a murderer, but she wants to clarify something. It looks like Miss Yu is still investigating something. Understood. Please tell her that I'll be right over. I'll come along. I want to hear what she has to say. It would appear that the time has come to uncover the truth. And to be continued. Oh man, this is actually pretty short. I didn't figure the investigation was going to be that short. Well, in any case, we can continue on at least. I mean, I know I like having ending videos like at these checkpoints, but whatever. We'll just continue on. I rarely do this anyway. So I believe this portion right now will be the final portion of this case. And I believe everything that we've come to learn will be brought to light. And the courtrooms are shaken up a bit. There we go. Good. No. Oh, hold on. There we go. And there's little Kay. Kay, what are you doing here? Oh, hello, mister. I'm still investigating. But the object you're looking for has already... Kay, don't mind him. Please continue with your investigation. Okay, you got it. Detective Bad, haven't we already found what you were looking for? If it means I can keep her in the dark just a little longer, any little task will do. Oh? You're more sympathetic than I thought. Ah, we're doing this like classic style now. Defendant and prosecutors, or defense attorneys and prosecutors on their proper sides and whatnot. I've been waiting for you, Edgeworth. I've also been waiting for the moment in which we can finally lay this case to rest. This moment in which we can finally lay this case to rest? Was that what we placed Detective Gumshoe under arrest? I think we're more than solved this case already. Don't you? We'll see. It all depends on whether or not your logic holds. Oh, I see we even have a viewer in the gallery. And why even Mr. Bad is here? A viewer in the gallery? I'm hardly just a bystander. I have a duty to see this case through to the end, no matter how it turns out. Oh, is that right? Anyway, I thought you might like to hear what I've slaved away to find out. I've taken statements on every single person's movements during the time when our suspect was in the hallway. I also confirmed that there is no possible route of escape from lobby number 2. Therefore, the killer must be, without a doubt, be Detective Gumshoe. And that's all you have? Yeah, that's all there is to my conclusion, and this case. Sorry, but I beg to differ. In a trial, there's always time for a rebuttal, and we are standing in a court of law. It'd be more than appropriate to follow the rules of court in this case, don't you think? How absolutely like a rookie to think of such a thing. But, alright, I'll play along and give you a proper testimony. If my logic is correct, then I've already won. All I have to do now is prove it, by showing who the real killer is. Alright, so let's hear her testimony about her argument. Everyone sans the subject has an alibi for when the gun went off. Furthermore, the areas around the crime scene have all been thoroughly investigated, right? I also confirm that there is no possible escape route from lobby number 2, which leaves us with one unshakable conclusion, that Detective Gumshoe is the killer. Oh boy, that was kind of rough, but you know, whatever. Now that you have your testimony, I expect a good rebuttal, Edgeworth. But of course, there's no need to confront her logic head-on right now. I should instead focus on drawing out any trump card she has up her sleeve. AKA, let's press every single statement that she has. It's one of those few times in Ace Attorney game where you have to do this. Just press every statement.
Hold it.
The suspect. But I thought Detective Gumshoe's alibi has already been proven. Are you joking, Edgeworth? I assure you, this is no joke. Look, I know you heard from the judge earlier that the detective that was in the hallway with Mr. Faraday's daughter eating a Swiss roll. Yes, that's correct. But see, that was 20 minutes before the real gunshot went off, right? And the problem is, there's no one else who can corroborate, corroborate? Oh, whatever. What he did since the snacking. I see she's done her research well. Which means that I should focus on drawing out whatever trump cards she's withholding. Okay. So just keep pressing on her statements.
Hold it.
Whether they have been thoroughly investigated or not is for me to decide. The scrunched eyebrows and lines on your forehead are back! Anyway, even if you believe it hasn't been exhaustive, the crime scene lobby number 2 has no way other than the hallway Detective Gumshoe was standing and no way out. And because he claimed to be there, that makes him the only possible suspect. But isn't it also possible that somebody escaped through the window and into the garden? That's the first place everyone looks, silly. The police aren't a bunch of lazy bums. They looked into every possibility, you know. Isn't that right, Mr. Bad? Yeah. There wasn't a scrap of evidence to suggest someone used one of the windows. There also weren't any footprints or anything in the courtyard garden. I suppose it really did check everything that could be relevant to this case. Damn. Okay, well, let's keep pressing. Are you absolutely positive there were no possible routes of escape? Of course I'm sure. And why are you so certain? This is a courthouse, the place where criminals are brought to be judged. If there were an escape route, I'm sure every criminal would be using it to escape. It's just common sense. Miles Edgeworth, I suggest you use a bit more of it in the future. Don't whip me. God! Too late. And her final statement, I believe.
Hold it.
You may think it's unshakable, but to me there are still too many unanswered questions here. For example, who was it that placed the gun in Mr. Faraday's hand? But you're the only one still wondering that! Detective Gumshoe probably had no idea which hand Mr. Faraday used to write with. Even if you know someone, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean you'll know which hand they write with, right? I mean, I certainly don't care about that sort of thing. I'm not about to let her get a rise out of me with such a flippant statement. I suppose we've really reached the end of now. I already have my trump card ready. All that remains is to play it. Before I do, I think I should inquire into a little something about her argument. You said earlier that you confirmed the alibis of every person other than the suspect. However, I don't recall either Francisco or myself speaking with you about the subject. Huh? But there were witnesses. For you, there was your mentor who gave you an alibi. See. As for the little Missy, she came to the courthouse during a recess and was stopped by a security guard at the door to the hallway. She gave him quite a whipping for that, or so I heard. I'm the daughter of Manfred von Karma, and I will not be forcibly stopped by a guard or a bailiff or anyone else. Wait, so basically the only reason Francisca bothered to show up today was because she found out that I was to be the replacement prosecutor? By the way, Monsieur, what about everyone's alibis before Detective Gumshoe was assigned to guard duty? What about that? Have you looked into what people were doing during that span of time? What kind of idiot do you think to take me for? It doesn't matter when the killer went into lobby number 2. From the time we heard a gunshot to the time Mr. Bad and I arrived in the scene as we dashed into lobby number 1, the only person who could have committed the crime was Detective Gumshoe. Yes, let's talk about when you and Detective Bad heard that gunshot, shall we? I suppose that if we go by your logic, then Gumshoe is the only one. However, what if the crime had occurred at an entirely different time than when the gunshot you heard went off? What then? Oh? That gunshot was a trap meant to manipulate our perception of when the crime took place. Sadly, your explanation is very lacking, Edgeworth. The gunshot we heard in lobby number 1, care to explain how that could have been fabricated? Do I really want to go with this right now? Yeah, I guess I will. This might be a little longer video, but, you know, screw it. So I was just saying how that it was fabricated? Well, didn't we learn from the surveillance video that it could have been used to, you know, prove a wrong time of the crime? That tape! Yes, it's exactly what you think it is. This is the surveillance tape on Mr. Rao the prosecution presented in today's trial. This was found loaded into the video player number 2. The video player in the lobby number 2. That was connected to the large television that had its volume turned all the way up. You can't honestly mean that the sound we heard was a gunshot in the video. Ah, but I do. Which leads me to my next point. The murders occurred much earlier than anyone heard a gunshot. That's the only thing I can think of as well. After committing double homicide, the killer took the surveillance video out from Mr. Faraday's evidence bag, turned the television's volume all the way up, and left the video to play. It played from the beginning. It would take 30 minutes for the gunshot sound to come on. And since we know that this method of time manipulation is possible, it opens up the possibility that the killer is someone other than Detective Gumshoe. Sounds from a television doesn't amount to much here. But of course, Mr. Prosecutor Edgeworth, a little Miss Von Karma, already knew that much from the very beginning, right? Of course we knew! Didn't we, Miles? Yes, of course. We know about the soundproof quality of this courthouse's rooms. Of course, I'm not about to admit that we had no idea until only a little while ago. That's right, and if the rooms are soundproof, then we should not have been able to hear it. And yet, we heard a gunshot clear as day. And that's it, and the story. But it's not. How should I explain why she was able to hear a gunshot from a soundproof window? Well, because the window was open, right? There is actually one common point between lobby number 1 and number 2. And is that despite the fact that both rooms have air conditioners installed, a window was open in each. Now, we know that the window in lobby number 2 was opened by the killer. However, a window in lobby number 1 was also open. It's probably just coincidence that they were both open at that time. It was no mere coincidence, I assure you. Why was that window open in lobby number 1? The answer is that a certain person did something to cause the window to be opened. And that person who triggered that action, that person is the real guilty party. The real killer in this double murder is... Who could it be? We'll find out next time, guys. So, as usual, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time for Let's Play Ace Attorney Investigations Miles Edgeworth. I'll see you guys later.